Welcome back, Dragon Ballers, to Get the Mic. Long time no see. I'm your host on the left, Owl,
I'm your host on the right, Brock.
and this is Get the Mic, the only show where we dissect fiction for your mythological significance. Yours specifically.
Yes, yours.
Here's our encore. Yes, yours. And we decided to come back and do another one tonight. So it's episode 129, The Time Room. I don't think we have anything really to get into too much. Anything you have to say, Brock?
No, I think that this is going to be a continuation of the conversation that we just had about the previous episode, and that it's going to make the most sense if you just kind of follow them back to back, because some of the ideas in this episode, I'm pretty sure, are going to be referencing back to that previous episode quite a bit.
It's like poetry, they rhyme. All right, so this one is called The Time Room, or Time Traveling Goku, which they're both
Time traveling Goku.
They're both equally bad at explaining anything that the episode's actually about.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times, there are times when the English dub translations like hit the mark, and there's times when they really don't. There's also times when the Japanese titles are like Clash Super Important Battle, and it's like that is true, but it's also not very precise.
I feel like there are specific episodes where they paid more attention. It was like, okay, you can't name that one this. Like for the ones that people consider filler, it's kind of a pass, like whatever. But on very specific episodes, and just in the dub in general, like in these filler episodes, there's a wide divergence of what's being said. But it's actually pretty succinct on the more important episodes for, the really groundbreaking episodes, you could say.
Absolutely. And so yeah, we start here with the Lookout, upper world, where Kami is, and Goku's still training there with Popo. His clothes are still raggedy and all that. And he's trying to spar off with Goku here, but fails. And Popo, unsatisfied with mere physical training, introduces Goku to a new strange chamber adorned with pendulums or clocks, which we'll get to in just a second. But before that, I do want to say, in this little sparring match, Goku is able to dodge one of Popo's strikes. And I want to turn this.
Yeah, and he has to do it by closing his eyes. But then he opens his eyes, and then he gets struck.
Yeah, and you can see he has his eyes open when he goes in for like that next strike to try and like get at Popo in this little sparring match. And so basically Popo's like, you've barely gotten any stronger. Here's some new clothes. He doesn't put his own symbol on there. What do you think that means, Brock? Does that align with our analysis so far?
It aligns with Popo.
In what way? How so?
There is this thing about what Goku's doing now, which is more about that, like we were saying, orientation than being defined by one thing. And as Goku is doing this, it's also part of why he's making such slow progress. And each time we see him, it's like, oh, he's made a tiny, minuscule bit of progress. And it's kind of driving home this point that it's not necessarily about the progress as much as it is the effort and the orientation of that effort, right? But that's
even
also
though
the thing
Popo's
that's
disappointed in it. Remember what we've been saying. It's like Popo is that emptiness. Goku's bringing forth that energy, and you can see that Goku's disappointed in himself. And so, and that's another reason too that we see Goku is his identity isn't shaped, let's say, by Popo instantiating his spirit onto him or anything like that with his sign or anything like that. It's Popo,
which goes hand in hand with what happened in the last episode with the fighters leaving the Turtle Hermit as well, right? Leaving that purview of being part of that school, let's say.
Yeah, it actually mirrors it pretty well. And Popo's being that emptiness is obviously not going to impart something that isn't brought into it. And so Goku doesn't change clothes. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying there, really. But it's important because we know clothes represent something. These signs represent something, and him having the Roshi sign up into all the way through Dragon Ball is pretty important because we are going back to the root of everything, which would be moving well, right? We don't change this. What do they call it? What do you call this thing? A patch? What do you call this thing?
It's the symbol on his gi. I'm sure someone's angry right now because we're not calling it
There's
the proper
yeah,
thing,
I know.
but
There's a specific thing for it. I don't know what it's
sorry.
called. But yeah, the symbol on his gi, that doesn't change until Dragon Ball Z. So it's pretty important. And Popo gives him a new one, and then he wants to go train. And so this is when he goes to the room of clocks, the time room. And basically, Popo sends Goku. He's just like, all right, now we're going. And he hurls Goku through time to train with the legends of the past. We'll see who those legends are in just a second. Let's go ahead and pause there. Anything we want to say about the time room's design before we go on to the lads?
Not really. It's a room of clocks because he's about to travel through time, and it's hard to represent time without depicting it as a space.
Yeah, symbol on his gi. Right, right. Is there not something? Is there not another
I mean, is it a
term for it?
kanji?
I
I
don't
think it's a
know.
kanji that means turtle, but
Yeah, but what there is
anyway.
there not a name for that thing, or is it just symbol on his gi? Is it like a phrase?
Oh,
I don't
there's
know.
definitely a name for it that is that someone
Infuriating.
cares about a lot.
Yeah, well, Shell might know. I don't know. Sounds like something that's a little too
Yeah.
for me. Anyways, um, the only thing I wanted to say about the room itself is, or let's say the actions in the room, is that Popo here doesn't really give a lot of explanation. He just says we'll meet a great expert, right? And then after that, you're on your own. He does it, and Goku goes there. And it's a little bit reminds me of his departure with Korin. He has to kind of descend into time, right? Yeah, maybe kanji.
Yeah,
He
there's a
has
bit
to.
of a delay. One thing I want to point out though, there is one element of the design of this room that seems to matter, and it's the 3 o'clock. We saw that Goku had been asleep for 3 days. There's
Mm,
all of these threes that keep on coming up as we go through this training, like 3 days, 3 years, 3 hours, three this, three that. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think the three
definitely
does
not.
matter.
Nope, definitely not.
What
Um,
three is this? It's a three. That's all. That's all that matters.
and we'll see the three in this because there's three in each three. So, anyways, I like also the like descending into time here. The let's say visual they use for it. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I do like Popo's briefness. Goku doesn't really bring anything into it. This time he wants to know how strong the expert is, which it kind of is actually seeking something along those lines this time. So Popo doesn't like say I'm not going to say anything or try to like lead him down a different path. Now that he's gotten the secret of the force, he should be able to get this next step, which we'll talk about how it relates to that in the next few scenes. But first, we gotta have our little intermission with the lads. So they are carrying boulders and going through grueling physical conditioning. Tien is particularly frustrated. He is upset that he'll never surpass Goku. And basically, they are trying to be determined to gear up for something beyond raw strength. They want to try to aim for something beyond what we were previously talking about in the last episode, how there needs to be a holistic approach to the development of the self, and it can't just be focused in one discipline. And that's kind
Yeah,
of
I
what
think
we're getting
this
at.
is it's a very quick but very succinct scene to show that now they're doing the part of the journey that Goku did where he's like walking the land, and there was that brief intermission before he had gotten to Korin's tower where he's going from place to place, and they're doing that. But I love that it's Tien. Tien is the one that represents the newest instantiation of the thing that's sort of trailing right behind Goku. In that he smashes the rock, and the rock is sort of representative of the physical training they're doing. He's realizing that simply just doing more of this physical work and traveling the world and carrying their burdens isn't the thing that made Goku a whole tier above them. And so he literally smashes it, and we'll see in the next scene they show up in what that means. But it has to be Tien because of his third eye that he sees that element of it.
Right. And I think it also goes to show one of the first instances of Goku, and by extension the Logos, being able to pave the way through hardships seeming that were previously seemingly impossible or like really challenging. And so hoisting the struggles and burden on oneself, Goku's been doing that since, and even not even his own burdens, right? With Turtle, like he's been doing that since episode 2. So,
And that's the idea of this whole arc, is that
mhm.
Goku is in the heavens, which means he's an idea that's emanating down, and it's showing how he, as an idea, is being emulated, right?
Right, and it is to say that that is an upward trajectory for the spirit of all humanity, right? And it's also why way later on, I'm not trying to make apologetics for like the Buu saga or anything, but there is somewhat of a reason as to why the there's somewhat of an explanation why the Super Saiyan transformation would be attainable by Trunks and Goten. But don't want to get ahead of myself. There's obviously some issues with it, but that whole idea is what I'm getting at, is where Goku, and by extension there are other forces, let's say, in the universe that are able to pave the way and make things easier for people on a spiritual level that were previously thought challenging or like impossible. And Brock is absolutely
Or
correct
couldn't
when,
be conceived of in the first place.
sure, yeah, and you're absolutely right when you're saying that this whole arc is about Goku's first instantiations in that. That's what I was wanting to point out. So perfect. And it was just like a 5-second scene. We'll never be able to beat Goku like this. And then it goes back to Roshi's place. What happens there? I didn't write much about that. Oh, hold on, it froze.
Run it forward because nothing about that scene stood out to me as being that significant, except for the fact that it stuck out to me how like launch is just launch now. You know what I mean? Like that there's almost this harmony with launch that you see whenever it does cut back to them. If that's where this scene is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
about
yeah.
to. So yeah, Launch is just
Like
blonde Launch now, which is
and
good.
like Roshi tries to creep on Bulma in this scene, and she doesn't even acknowledge it, and Launch doesn't even acknowledge it, and there's this sort of like it's almost like showing that there's peace at the Roshi house at the same time that the boys are realizing the next step of their journey. I don't know. It maybe it's something to do with that.
I think it has to do with Launch being Launch now. She's like more fully actualized, and she's made the home, because remember what we saw with Bulma, like in the actual canon in Eternal Dragon Resurrected 126. It's Launch that punishes Roshi for doing that to Bulma, and that's like one of the last times we see him even try to creep on her in a serious way, right? Because even before that, when he comes back to life, like he just asks and then he like backs off. Like there's no
I was thinking about that. Yeah, in the last episode, there's sort of this relationship between the presence of the younger males and Roshi's creeping, and it's almost like in their absence, they're where they're supposed to be, and Roshi doesn't act up as much, or something like that. Like there's
right, but it also
like
I
it.
think has to do with launch and launch making the home a hospitable and dynamic place that's not um let's say
It
this,
could be.
the maternal can temper the judgmental gaze of the spiritual father, right, for the generations below, something like
Yeah, I
that.
think maybe it's sort of that relationship too. It's like we're seeing this progression of these characters, but Bulma has kind of been put on ice here, so to speak. But I don't think necessarily. I think that
Put on
Launch's
ice in the
relationship
best
to
way though,
Bulma
like she
specifically, yeah. I think that this is just showing a small representation that there's still that like Bulma is able to just s- almost unconsciously sidestep Roshi's creeping, right? And then it doesn't create this disharmony. Like
mhm,
maybe that is kind of representative of her progress, or her progression as a character, or her powering up a little bit,
definitely,
so
yeah,
to speak.
definitely. 100%. She's become so much more confident and spiritually strong because of it, right? And partially that is because of her interactions with Roshi, but yeah, I think part of that has to do with launch and launch making the Kame house what it is. It's sad to see her not there after this, but we'll cry about that later.
Yeah.
um, that's it. It's literally just a few seconds. Then we see this. Guy can't see. Who could it be? Goku crashes down in time onto a young Master Roshi right out of the sky. He is then who was at the time trying to spy on this young woman named Fan Fan. Embarrassed, Roshi tries to play it off. In their awkward first encounter, Roshi and Goku's uh, is supposed to be humorous, and we're supposed to get a look at. Hold on, what Roshi's about. Actually, I think I know why they had that scene right before. So right before this, Roshi does say he talks about his training and how his training under Mutaito is like so hard. And I
Oh, he
don't.
does puff himself up in a way where he talks about how he was so feared and respected, and it's kind of a funny
It is a funny.
dichotomy.
It is. See, I don't know. There are some things that I don't necessarily like about this episode because I think they go against some of the other established things um that we saw, like let's say at the beginning of the King Piccolo arc.
Yeah.
But
The him wearing the sunglasses here also is
yes.
kind of odd with the analysis we've given of the sunglasses already and what we've seen of him.
But in the like in the canon, or let's say in the non-filler, I don't know. I don't know if that's in the anime or the manga, but it is in the anime, which I don't know. It's pretty much canon. It does show Crane and Roshi, but they don't have glasses. Neither of them, remember. They're both just
Yeah.
monks. They're both just regular monks, which I think is a better design. But this is to, I think, make it clear who he is, I guess. I don't know. But
Yeah, I
I
think
just
that
wanted to
makes
say
it
that now because there's going to
easier.
be some other instances of that. But let's go ahead and continue. So yeah, he gets caught spying on Fan Fan, and basically him and Goku introduce themselves. And here's another thing: Goku should remember who Taito is. Here it is. Mutaito, is he strong? He should probably remember this is something I don't understand if the filler writers
This is
just
one of those instances of something where I think people get the wrong impression of something like this, and they go, "Oh, Goku's just dumb," right?
I don't think it's that. I don't think they were paying attention. I think they were like,
But
well,
I think that
send him
this
back in
is
time.
yeah, but people interpret this as just an example of Goku not being very smart, when in reality, I think that there's just some weird discrepancies in this episode with the canon.
Yeah, we did say it would be a strange one. So be warned on that. So Mutaito is spoken up highly by Roshi, and basically Goku's like, let me fight him, and then Roshi wants to see Fan's breasts, and this is something that happens, and Goku lifts his shirt to show him his bare chest, so that happens as well. I don't know. What do you want to say? What do you want to say there? Oh, goodness.
I think it's a comical scene. I don't think there's much to that.
There isn't. And the thing is, it kind of, it doesn't seem, I don't know if it seems something that Goku would do it at the time either. Just based on like his already advanced level, let's say, of knowledge.
Yeah, it's almost like an older version of Goku we're seeing here. That's not from the time he's in.
There's like this, and that's the thing. There's like this eternal Goku, like pre-cosmogonic, and I think that's a lot of the reason why people are like, oh, Dragon Ball's just Journey to the West, because they think of that archetype with Goku, like in maybe the first arc or so, before he
that it reads like fan fiction that way, huh? Like
it really does, yeah.
Now there are things about this that aren't just fan fiction because I think the reason of this episode is well and good. It's just weird.
We got to get there, yeah. We got to get there. So nothing else to say there. Crane arrives with his two cronies, and they taunt Roshi because he's trying to spy on this girl, and basically they insult each other a bunch, and Crane's like ready to fight, Roshi's ready to fight, and then Roshi's like, oh, my back, and then Crane's like, we're not gonna fight this loser, and leaves. So there's already some issues in the design. First of all, they were like, we're not even gonna draw the symbol on Crane's gi. We're like, nah, we don't need that. Also, he's not even a student of Mutaito because he's not even wearing the same gi as them. So, I don't know.
Also
There's
weird.
So many weird choices about this. He's also got the glasses, which, we were saying we have an analysis already established about that. Anyways, the thing with Roshi too, I don't know if the characterization of Roshi being, I don't want to say like cowardly, but I mean clearly this is like a bully dynamic with his two cronies, right? In fact,
I don't really like this depiction of Roshi being duplicitous and not forthright and not doing the right thing. It's supposed to be that he had an instantiation that wasn't that way, and that's why he is the way he is now, because he reached a certain point.
Yeah, and then he and Crane were also supposed to both be like the best students, so
that's why they get their own clothes.
That Crane, I think that Crane, oh my gosh, I think that Crane should have been a lot more respectable, because he was supposed to only like become evil when Mutaito failed, right? Which is so like actually like something profound to say, right? Is the failure of the spiritual father like breeds evil. It's like, yeah, okay, that's
creates
great.
The schism.
Yeah. But we didn't even get that here. He's already like, meh, if only he had a mustache, he'd be like
he's like it's comical in this episode. He's comically evil. Like he doesn't even seem to have like realistic motivations.
It's really strange. But let's see it. So, like I said, they insult each other, and then they're ready to fight, and Roshi decides, he's not gonna fight, and then he taunts them. Goku recognizes him, and he brings in a Mutai Ito. So, Mutai Ito here. Goku and Roshi present themselves, which is what I use at the thumbnail because I like that. I like this idea, or it's not this one. I want the one that shows. Hold on. I gotta scroll around for it a bit. Here we go. Yeah, so it pans down, and then we see like Mutai Ito superimposed in front of both of them, right? And so they present themselves, and Goku's going to challenge him. But I like this visual a lot because it does have some symbolic significance, and we can see that Goku at this point is humbled enough. So this is definitely beyond like Red Ribbon Goku. Is humble enough to bow before this respected sensei here, this respected master. In Mutai Ito. And especially because he also respects Roshi. He recognizes Roshi. He also knew he was going back in time, all that. Now, they don't really go into any like timeline things, which I think is great. That's how you should deal with time travel. Don't make it complicated. And so, but here we do see that this larger than life figure, because we're in the realm of ideas, he is bigger than both of them. And I think that's going to make some explanation as to why some of the power differential is in this episode as well. Do you have anything to say before we just go into the challenge?
Not really.
Oh, he says he trains under Kami. It's like I train with God, and then everyone laughs at him except Mutai Ito. And
yeah, Mutai Ito has this clear sight. That's one thing about the Crane Hermit and Roshi are both already wearing their sunglasses in this episode, but Mutai Ito is not. He has this clear sight, this vision, and he sees Goku for who he is and understands more than he should. Like he's got this elevated sight, let's say.
In fact, it's as soon as he comes in, because watch here. He says, "Aren't you going to take a stance?" Mutai Ito says, "I've taken a stance ever since you entered the room."
Yeah, I think it's a representative, or it's a representation of his spiritual sight, meaning that he sees Goku not for what his physical instantiation is, but for what he represents, because Mutai Ito is on that level, which is why Goku's been sent to interact with them.
Right. Even if he wasn't physically strong enough to stop Piccolo like Goku was, right? We're not dealing with that axis at this point, right? We're trying to operate on a higher realm. And so it has to be through, well, it doesn't have to be, but one of the ways through is the ancestral wisdom, which comes through in Mutai Ito here. So basically, they fight a little bit, and then Mutai Ito points at Goku and blasts him back, knocks him out of the arena of students. And so he's declared the winner, and basically Goku is like a little confused. This is also, I don't know if this is like a canon explanation of Ki for this universe, but and Goku should also like know this already. He already does some of this. Have they? Maybe. I don't know if they use ki blasts, just regular ki blast per se. Maybe not actually. Anyways, basically, the match is ended because of that ki blast towards Goku, and Goku gets up and he's like, "Can you teach me how to do this?" More or less. And Mutaito's like, "Come on down." So they go to the waterfall, and he introduces the concept of ki, the unseen spirit energy. And he demonstrates this idea by splitting a waterfall with focused energy and instructs Goku to channel his own ki and do the same. Goku attempts but fails, and the water remains whole. Meanwhile, Crane is like all jealous and stuff. So what do we want to say there, Brock?
It's interesting with the context of the resolution of the episode with water and fire, but I think that there are a lot of depictions of this where it's not just in Dragon Ball, but there's this sort of thing of parting the waterfall or standing in the waterfall and being able to part it with your body, or using energy to part it. And I think it has something to do with what water represents fundamentally as this sort of flow of the unconscious, essentially, that there's this channel of almost like unconscious psychic energy that what ki represents can manipulate, what your spirit, what your energy can manipulate, that you can essentially it's I don't know how to articulate it properly, but there's this thing that, like, if Goku can focus himself properly into one thing, into one effort well enough, he can actually command the flow of the unconscious world, of sort of ideas, not necessarily ideas, but he can command, if he can control himself well enough, he can control thoughts, and he can control the flow of
Well,
thoughts.
let's say this. Let's say this. It's in a way in communion with some of these spiritual ideas that we're talking about, because I think this unconscious, this flow of unconsciousness that you're talking about, being able to separate that out is a powerful ability, especially when being open and empty to all these, let's say, unconscious possibilities. Right, there are some that will be good, and there are some that will not be good. Right, distinguishing which ones are good and not, that's kind of a divine power, and it's kind of what's represented in the splitting of a waterfall, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's a more general thing, and it's not so much anything to do with the themes of Dragon Ball in this moment necessarily. It's just sort of
Yeah,
showing that's what ki is.
yeah, I think that's just the limitation of the episode, though. Honestly, what? Oh, this is fan. That's right. So after Mutaito leaves Goku to keep trying, and he's trying while Roshi like sleeps, because Roshi's like lazy too, which I also don't really like. Um and Fan is doing her laundry, and her shirt washes down and into the waterfall where Goku is. He gets it back for her, and she blushes and touches his face to wipe away the sweat. The moment, wait, I'm not, what? Roshi tries to act cool about this, and he just laughs, but he is typical Roshi. Meanwhile, Crane is basically watching on, and they're going to take advantage. Anything to say there? Um, should have been her panties. Just kidding.
Well, it kind of is though, right? Because there's this thing about it where we start the episode and Roshi's trying to peek at her to see her nakedness,
Oh,
and
but to see her
then
breasts. So actually, you're
yeah,
right. Yeah, the shirt covers her breasts. You're right about that. Go ahead.
so he's trying to see underneath this. She loses it, and Goku does what is right, which is he catches it and returns it to her, which is the whole arc of the first season. Her response to that is the natural archetypal feminine response, which is to thank him and to basically just face him forthrightly and not scorn him and like basically see him as cute, let's say. And then of course Roshi being this depiction we're seeing of him, which this is a good time for me to point out what I think the point of Roshi in this episode is, which is that Fan Fan is sort of the representation of Roshi's let's say his poor relationship with the feminine and the splitting of how that operates. So his is very much detached and not forthright and fearful. That's the thing about being lecherous and kind of like creeping in that sense, because it's not forthright. It's trying to take for yourself, but without being able to physically engage with the peeping and the creeping on her and all of that. And so, of course, his response to this is to learn nothing and to basically be like, "Wow, she's so cute." And but Goku is sort of in the middle. So Goku is between Roshi and the Crane Hermit with the relationship to the feminine. And then, of course, there's another response to this situation that you hadn't mentioned yet, which is the Crane Hermit's response to seeing this happen with Goku, right?
Oh, and he's like pissed off about it, yeah.
And he's mad,
brooding about it, yeah. Seething.
He's
coping,
mad, and he
seething.
feels entitled about it, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what Roshi's instantiation is in the story is like he does that to Bulma. And he is that way because of being the spiritual father. It's not like he was that way always. I don't know. I just don't really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best I can extract from why he's acting the way he is in this episode, which I don't necessarily think is good for the analysis. I don't think it's good for the other 128 episodes that came before.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is like Fan is not being worthy of this level of scrutiny, let's say, from the gaze of Roshi, more or less. I just
what do you mean by that?
I mean, like Bulma was under such scrutiny because she like one of the first things she does to Roshi is ask for wisdom.
Yeah.
Right. Like Fan hasn't done any of that, right? She's not trying to act in an improper way, and so I don't know, it doesn't line up. It doesn't line up. Anyways.
Yeah, and it's like he's got the sunglasses when he shouldn't have the sunglasses, and he's acting as if he does when he shouldn't.
Yes, it's a big part of it. Anyways, we'll continue. And yeah, I mean that is, I think it could have been a better thing to have, and I don't want to like make a fan fiction or anything, but like it would have been a better instantiation of Roshi to have to, let's say he and Fan were already together or something. He had to like, forsake that to go off on his hermit path, something like that. And it would make an instantiation that, that is a split, and the hermetic order is one that is interpersonal with God, more or less, with instead of it being a marriage sacrament versus a priestly order, let's say.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. This way, it just depicts it as weakness and a failure rather than a dichotomous
and he's
relationship.
Like super weak too. He like can't beat Crane. Like I don't know. It's dumb.
Anyways, he doesn't even try. He's too cowardly.
Yeah, he's cowardly too. Like, come on now. Anyway, so Crane kidnaps Fan, even though Roshi's right there. And he tells Goku to meet him in the field to have a showdown for Fan. And then what is this? There's like a 5-second scene of the lads.
The one thing that's important in this whole episode, pretty much, aside from like the resolution of the episode, which is this is the three of them sitting and talking, and Tien saying, "You know what? We need to go to Korin Tower because that's what Goku did, and I want to meet this Korin."
Yeah. that he talked
Which
about.
should have been in the previous episode, I think.
It would have been,
So
yeah, would have been good to put there, but that's okay. I mean, they're journeying on still, and he's like, you know, may not be at the forefront of his mind. He may have to remember it, but yeah.
like
So
normally when we're talking about an episode, when the cutaway happens, it seems pretty intentional. It's like this is to do with that. I don't see how this scene has anything to do with watching Crane
Fan
Hermit
fan.
punch Fan Fan in the stomach and kidnap her. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not. I'm
I'm trying to
having
think.
a hard time connecting the two. Like if she's representative of chaos itself, and Roshi's relationship with chaos is to fear it and to stay away from it and to withdraw, and the Crane Hermit's relationship with it is to try to dominate it and use it improperly and take it for himself, then the orientation is upward or downward, but that doesn't track either. So it just has no, to me, it doesn't really have much to do with like what it means for the boys to go and try to go towards Corrin Tower.
Yeah, there's not even. I guess you could say that. Yeah, that's like the Roshi. Here's what you could say. So Roshi's like in a middle path, a cowardly path, and then the dominating path, which is looking down, right? And then, but the answer Goku is gonna have is to look up, and I think that's kind of what it's spelling out here. But I don't know. It's also like a 15-second thing. I just missed it by fast forwarding. So, but yeah. So Krillin says that he remembers hearing Goku got training at Corrin's Tower, and they're all just gonna go to Corrin's Tower. That's pretty much all that happens. Then Roshi goes to get Goku and drags him to the field. Oh man, look at this field.
Man, I just want to say before we move past this, what a missed opportunity to have an episode where we go back into the past to see young Roshi. We could see a moment where he chooses to go to Corrin Tower, and we could tie that into this to the three of them. But it's just we get this instead.
Yeah, we do. So, yep, Crane Hermit and Goku. Crane Hermit, because he is already a hermit at this point, even though he's like 10. They fight. Goku hits him, and he complains. And then he shows his hostage, which is
It's kind of funny with Crane Hermit. He's like, I can't stand being around you, die. When Goku hits him one time, he's like, how dare you? No one has ever hit me. And it's like, you just tried to kill me.
I know.
Like you're wielding a malice that you can't possibly comprehend.
Why? But why would Mutaito after this keep him as a student? It just makes no goddamn sense.
I was hoping we'd find some way to reconcile this, but I also had no notes for this episode, so I guess so.
I've had no hope for this episode. I watched it like 3 times trying to find something that would.
It's also
make Crane
bizarre.
Understandable.
It's just like the tone of this is. I remember even the first time I watched the series, I was like, "This is way different from other episodes of Dragon Ball." Like punching Fan Fan in the stomach and knocking her out and carrying her somewhere and tying her to a tree and putting a knife to her throat is such a non-Dragon Ball way of dealing with ideas that it's like it's throwing me off.
Yeah, it's almost reminds like even the field. I'm like, this looks like a Disney
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, he reveals the hostage, which is Fan Fan, obviously. And so they try to save him, but Goku can't fight back. So Crane Hermit's like beating him up a bit, but Goku's not hurt. And they decide to use fire. Then they burn the field. That was the whole point of bringing them out to the field. And it all comes down to the lesson from earlier. They're surrounded by flames, Brock. What will they do?
Goku will use his ki to part the fire the way Mutaito used his ki to part the water.
which there is something to say there. At least we can say one
Yeah.
thing. We can say that Goku's spirit separating out the destructive energies of the universe is different than what we were saying about the um analysis of the water, right? Being the flowing
Yeah,
unconsciousness.
he can parse this because he's already tread the path that the boys have tread by going out into the unknown in the world and choosing to orient themselves.
Mhm.
But what Mutaito was able to do is much more sophisticated, let's say, I would say, like,
I would definitely say,
and
and it
so
actually is funny you say that because yeah, the boys are are going to have this trial in the next 2 episodes or something.
mhm. So I think there's a little bit of a tie-in there. And then of course we see that, you know, Fan is not completely helpless. And it's almost to say that as soon as Goku does this and he parses out the chaos, then she like wakes up and fights back. I feel like there's a connection between that and the way that like uh it enables her to move properly or something like that.
Yeah, just Fan is so ill defined a character.
Yeah, she's not really a character as much as she's a vehicle, but
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that vehicle is then inspired by Goku. And Goku's spirit inhabits her to fight back. And then Baldy Crony, I guess they're both bald. Short bald, mustache bald, is about to punch her in the face or in the tit, I don't know. And Mutaito grabs his fist. He comes out of nowhere. And basically the conflict is over because now Mutaito is
well,
here.
it's funny that you said the tit because I mean that's what this boils down to, right? Is that Roshi is trying to look, he's trying to attack. He's trying to,
Mm-hmm.
there's some sort of thing that I feel like the episode's trying to articulate about like looking and being afraid to interact with chaos and then also like not respecting chaos properly and attacking it in an unholy way or something. And then yeah, he would probably be trying to punch her in the tit since that's what Roshi was trying to look at. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So basically, Mutaito shows up and he says to Crane, "You'll leave now, or you'll start all over from square one." Why would he continue to keep Crane like that's or any
What
of
does that
them?
mean? What does starting
He's
over
gonna
from
go
square
back to
one mean?
he's gonna go back to karate kindergarten. Okay, that's what it means.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna have to
That's all it
go.
means, I guess.
That's all it means, and that's his only punishment. It's so stupid. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, yeah, I think we can move on to this last scene here then. So they all go back. Crane goes back and he's allowed to remain as a student. He's considered the best student before Mutaito dies, but that's another story. And they all return to the dojo, and Goku and Roshi go to the waterfall, and they are now both trying to do the water, do the ki blast, I think, right? Is Roshi also
Yep.
trying? Or is he just there supporting Goku? Nah, he's just there supporting Goku.
He's just standing in this one specific pose staring at Goku while he does this 4-frame animation.
And then there's this, which I totally understand. I cannot tell if the episode was good or not.
And you can tell that it's like the episode purely
Oh
is
my
not
gosh.
it's not totally necessary because it ends the way the previous episode ends, which is that Popo goes, I can't tell if he learned something. And then Kami says, not so sure about that. And then we just go to the next episode again.
I don't even. Oh, okay. Well, at least Roshi does start doing it. Roshi does start doing it. He's like,
Oh,
fan,
okay.
fan, I'm going to show you what for, even though I'm going to be
Oh
hurt.
yeah, she does say. He says, "I'm going to surpass Goku," and then she goes, "When you do that, I'll wipe sweat off your face."
Never happened. Yeah, there it is. There it is. The premonition there. That's a little nod, at least, to something a little bit clever, at least. But yeah, I don't even think Kami says, like, I think he's gonna do
Does he
well
not
this
even say
time.
it
He
this
doesn't.
time?
I don't
Yeah.
even think he says it this time.
But yeah, it ends on the same note as the last episode, essentially. So, well, that's that. I think that
That's
makes it the first actual filler episode.
yeah, yeah. It really felt like it, and it doesn't seem like it from the premise. You would think that it wouldn't be, but it just changes way too much. Like it is not like Grandpa Gohan reunion level. Like, oh, we're seeing this old character or whatever. It's like no, because a lot of the characterization is kind of messy.
And there's just so many little things like the all of the analysis to do with the sunglasses and Goku's ability to use the sunglasses and its relationship to the solar flare and like all of that. Like, yeah, yeah, exactly, Chrysombra. First real filler. 'Cause it just kind of goes. It really feels like a fan fiction.
Yeah, it really does because yeah, it's something like I guess the Star Trek fan fiction is the most famous, but yeah, I mean taking something symbolic in Star Trek and just like putting it in your fanfic and being like, here it is because I wanted to use it. Um, it's very much
It's
like
very
that.
rough. It's like we got fire and water, and we got Roshi and Crane Hermit, and like
Got fan.
we got a purple hair girl, and it's like almost as if someone was like, "What if there was like a Bulma back then, and Roshi had a crush
But
on
it's
her?"
not Bulma back then because
Yeah,
she doesn't.
she's just there.
Yeah, she doesn't have any of the characteristics of Bulma. Like that's what I was saying. Like she's so poorly characterized. She's basically characterized as um almost like girl next door as such, but not.
Yeah, girl next door as such.
I don't
Yeah,
know how to explain it. But yeah, I mean not even to the point where not even to the point where it's like, you know, Roshi's gonna join with her and like solve some and through the joining of the masculine and the feminine solve some great mystery. We already know like that's not where it's going. We already know that Roshi's um not going to do that because he's wearing the sunglasses, which he shouldn't be. But anyways, don't want to rehash everything. I think that's
yeah.
a okay spot to end it. It was like the first real filler episode. It felt like, and I hope it wasn't too bad of an episode because, like I said, I don't know the episode. It's still Dragon Ball. It's just there's a reason why I don't really like this episode.
Well, for context, there have been many episodes where I've gone into it and been like, "Oh, I'm not really sure what we're gonna say about this," and it kind of wills out through the episode, and then by the end of it, it's like kind of inspired by it, right? And so I'm always willing to go into an episode going like, "Well, maybe I missed it," and it'll become clear through the dialogical process. This is the first time it didn't happen. Um, you know, so I had a feeling because I wasn't able to really put anything down as notes, and that's never happened before either. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a it feels like a missed opportunity for the show to depict Mutaito. At least they didn't do anything stupid to Mutaito, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't. I think the what they did with Mutaito wasn't too bad. I like and it's not to say there's nothing good in the episode. I think the instantiation of the realm of ideas that we get, and that Mutaito is a bigger force in that regard than what Goku has been able to accomplish, even though he wasn't able to like stop King Piccolo, for example. I think that's actually okay. The
Sure.
issues arise with some of the other characters more or less, but yeah, I think Mutaito, he wasn't done dirty or anything. Not like my boy Crane.
Not like Roshi.
Freaking Crane, dude. Oh my god. Well, yeah, I guess Roshi gets it even. I mean, Roshi's even worse. He's like all cowardly and stuff, but I mean, Crane is just like this always nefarious, evil, like spoiled kid now. Apparently, he's like he was supposed to be. Excuse me. He was supposed to be the product of the failure of the spirit of the paternal wisdom that then was corrupted by that failure, right? And corrupted the teachings in those sense. So then we have the Roshi school, Turtle school, and the Crane school, right? And that's kind of the dynamic. But it's supposed
there's a hierarchy of spiritual fathers, right? Where you've got Roshi, and above him you've got Mutaito, and then above him you've got Kami. But Kami, in the process of establishing himself as an identity as Kami, creates a negative of himself, and because he's a higher order instantiation than Mutaito, then Mutaito ultimately can't stand against him. And there's this cascading set of events that happen that need to be reconciled in a cosmic sense. And like that is still intact with this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's almost as if they're clunkily trying to show a split with like Roshi and Crane Hermit to be representative of the Kami Piccolo split, and it's just not at all working.
Yeah, and well, what I was getting at to the end there was that the Crane school was supposed to have a seed of virtue, and that's why Tien is able to turn good from it, right? It's not like the whole thing was a rotten endeavor to begin with. Tien was in like the first, let's say, like design visually to reflect his enlightenment, right? And so, yeah, I mean, there should have been a seed of virtue, but anyways, I don't want to continue to harp on it. It was an episode. I think I liked The Secret of the Woods better. But I'm just ready to get through some of these because, chat, I'm so ready to talk about Dragon Ball Z. We got to get, I mean, I'm ready for the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai as well. But, ooh, we're getting close. We're getting close.
And a wedding dress.
Okay, those will be cool, though. I do like those episodes. There's 5.
I'm stoked for that.
Yeah, it's something I don't think anyone really has ever addressed. But anyways, okay, so I don't think there's any chats. I think we're ready to go ahead and sign out here. Unless you have anything else to say, Brock?
No, I've said my piece about the episode.
Terrific. Well, this has been Get the Mic, episode 129, The Time Room. I've been your host on the left, Owl.
I'm your host on the right, Brock.
And we wish you guys a good night.